Hello and welcome back to Growing Resilient with Heather. I am sorry it has been a while. I have had a couple of different projects cooking. I just pressed publish on my first book. It's going to be a poetry book. It's called Hurt, Hope, and Healing. And my idea is if you can handle that, you will be able to handle Sail in the Desert, which will be the novel that comes out later this year. So I am eternally grateful that you have chosen to sit here and listen to me talk to you. I hope that you get something out of this podcast. And if you do, please let me know. Connect with me. I love to hear just the impact that I'm having on others. And I hope that this brings you some value. So, in case you missed last episode, I talked about a few different things. So, I talked about using tools to help you overcome the challenges, and I talked about some of the tools that I used and the ways that I found courage to grow. I found courage to grow stronger physically, mentally, and emotionally. I also found the courage to heal, and I did that through therapy, nature walks, connecting with my friends and family, and I found courage to be kind. Because from kindness, we can grow more kindness. And just because we're broken does not mean that we should let our brokenness bleed into others. Today, we are going to be talking about shame and vulnerability. And of course, it is inspired by Brene Brown. I am currently reading her Daring Greatly novel, and it is amazing. If you have never read anything Brene Brown, stop this, go onto Amazon, and seriously buy just any of her books. And I promise you will fall in love if you are trying to learn more about yourself, because she is incredible. Something that I want to stress, being vulnerable and being honest with your feelings is so important. When we are honest with the way that we're truly feeling, that makes a big difference in the way we carry ourselves, the way we take care of ourselves, and the way we choose to move forward. So some of us might have these crazy life events happen, such as myself, and I had to just pause and be honest with my feelings. How do I feel about this? What am I going to do to move forward? And you might not have a life event that completely shakes you, but are you being honest with your feelings? Are you people pleasing, or are you truly doing what makes your heart happy and what sets your soul on fire, your purpose? Because if that's not what you're doing, take a couple steps back and figure out exactly how you can fulfill your purpose. We are not set in this life to just be fitting in, floating around with people. Our job is to make a difference. And for me, that's going to be being vulnerable. When it comes to our trauma, I was reading in Brene Brown's book, she said that people that bury their trauma, it ends up hurting them more. So burying it versus talking about it. And I am choosing to talk about my trauma and what I've gone through in a novel and in this podcast, because if me sharing my story helps one person, it is all worthwhile. So, and in fact, there were times when I chose to bury the way I was feeling. I would go to work every single day with a huge smile on my face, and I tricked a lot of people. I don't think there was anyone, maybe one of my really close friends knew that I was unhappy, and that could have been detrimental because I chose to bury it and I chose not to talk about the trauma that I was going. So, a little bit more about shame. It thrives on secret keeping. Secrets are toxic, and we need to be careful because when we bury them deep inside of ourselves, we have this toxicity inside of our body. And it reminds me of this Coldplay lyric from their song Up and Up. It says, "Sitting with the poison takes away the pain." We're going to get it together. I know we're going to get it together somehow. And I think just when we choose to be vulnerable and when we choose to not keep these secrets inside, it will take us some time, undoubtedly, but it will help us feel more together. Brene Brown references Harry Potter, and she talks about how we've all got both light and darkness inside of us, and what matters is the part that we choose to act on. That's who we really are. And it's wild because some people might look like they're all light, and that might help us gravitate towards them. I know for a fact that's what made me gravitate towards my late husband. I ended up losing my light because he was like a vampire. He was sucking away at my light and giving it to other people. then he would show me his dark side. And in this poetry book that I just published, I could sense that darkness that I had because he was bringing that out of me. And it was just the most heartbreaking thing. And I hope that you can always just try to find the light that you have inside of yourself, because there absolutely is light in all of us. We just need to seek it out. Now I'm going to jump into a little bit more about shame. Brene Brown talks about how shame is the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. And wow, if that does not sum up exactly how I felt for at least 2 years, maybe 3 years, but that is exactly how I felt. I felt unworthy, and I felt like I was completely flawed. There was nothing that I could do that would make me a better person, that would make me more attractive, that would make me just more worthy. And that is a hard place to be in, friends. Do not let yourself sit in there. Do not. So another piece to shame is just feeling unworthy of connection. And oftentimes, shame is unspeakable. What we experience, these hardships that we experience, society tells us not to talk about them. Or maybe previous generations just chose not to talk about them. But the hard topics are the ones that can truly set us free. And if you can find the courage to talk about those hard topics, you're going to be able to heal through it. When we're brave enough to explore the darkness, we can discover the infinite power of our light. If that doesn't explain everything I've been doing for the past 9 months, I don't know what does. Our light can shine as bright as we want it to, and when we release the shame, we are able to truly thrive. It would be so easy for me to crawl into a hole for the rest of my life and say, I don't deserve love, I really screwed up, and that's how I could deal with my shame. But instead, I've chosen to understand my shame and be able to identify it as an important way to stifle it. So whenever I do feel shame and I feel it creeping in, I name it. I say, oh, shame, like, what are you doing? Brene talks about literally physically saying pain, 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 pain. That way you know that your body is feeling shame. Because it's so easy to get stuck in a spiral of shame where we just continue going down and down and down. And that is not going to help our resilience at all. For me, personally, I used to feel shame towards my body. And there are some times where I still do. I've been really, really working out and trying to build the best version of me possible, because that's what I deserve mentally, physically, emotionally. And feeling shame towards my body did not help. It was just an endless cycle. I also felt shame in my marriage, and I felt like I could not speak my mind or share what I was thinking. And that's a dangerous place to be. One of my poems, I talk about being a servant in your own house. And wow, that is exactly how I felt. I was not in a safe place to be able to share anything that I felt. I was just in a very dark place. And I was shamed for everything that I did, whether it was cooking with not enough salt or pepper, the way that my body looked, or maybe responding with some attitude sometimes. And I think all of us have a little bit of attitude or sass inside of us. And it's just like, if you poke the bear enough, it will come out. And Heather can be sassy. I'm sure we all have a little bit of side to that, but maybe not. I mean, not a lot of people get to see my sass. One of the ways that we can just move away from shame is being authentic. And that is something that I have strived to share about in my journey this entire time. Because when I'm authentic, when I'm real, when I'm honest about the way I'm feeling and everything I've been through, I'm not going to have that guilt and shame just holding me down. Like, what secrets am I hiding? And it's wild because secret keeping is how shame thrives, which is why I'm choosing to talk about the emotional abuse that I endured. And I know it won't always be easy, but if someone can relate to me and I can help someone else, it's so worth any and all of the uncomfortableness that I have to experience while sharing this. Another thing that is super important about just moving past shame is self-compassion, which How often do we just have so much compassion for other people and then we're so hard on ourselves? I don't know about you, but that is one of my biggest faults. I'm my own biggest enemy. Would you allow yourself to talk to a friend the way that you talk to yourself? We can be our biggest cheerleaders or we can be our biggest enemies. And don't let yourself be an enemy. And one of the ways that we can truly, truly step away from that is practicing self-awareness. For me, earlier this week, I was trying to get everything ready for taxes, which I'm typically like a January get your taxes done. I knew getting all of the paperwork ready would stir up a bunch of different emotions. I couldn't find a tax document for a moment, and it was my late husband's W-2. So I'm thinking, oh great, I'm going to have to call his old employer and say, hey, I'm the irresponsible widow who lost her husband's W-2. Can you please send it to me? I know taxes are due in 2 weeks. Please expedite that ish. And I was so upset at myself originally. I felt like I was just going to have a breakdown. So I took a few steps back and I said, take a couple deep breaths, Heather. And I told myself there were only 2 more places that I could possibly be. And sure enough, after I talked myself down and told myself it's okay that I was going to find it, I had the clear mind to search in those last 2 places and I was able to find it. The moment that you start telling yourself how stupid or incapable or forgetful you are, the less likely you'll be to be able to escape the shame game. So what I did is I essentially practiced being aware of everything that was happening and the emotions that I was feeling. When we can just step back and recognize the emotions that we're feeling, that is so powerful. And we're going to take a moment to step back to Zombie by the Cranberries. This is a song that I thought kind of accurately described being able to take a step back. The lyric, when the violence causes silence, we must be mistaken. I think that's how she sings it, at least. I hope that made you laugh and you weren't expecting it. Just when the violence causes silence, we must be mistaken. Don't let that silence creep in. Don't let your mind just stay quiet and seek out help. Thank you again for choosing to tune in to Growing Resilient. I hope that 3 things you can take away are being honest with your feelings, being able to name your shame, and please let me know when you want to go out for karaoke. By the way, just that last singing piece, I was singing it in that like shaky voice because that's just kind of how the Cranberries sing their songs. Anyways, subscribe. I'm going to be trying to be better about posting. No, I'm not going to try to be better. I will be better about posting bi-weekly podcast episodes. Love y'all. Hang in there and make someone that you don't know smile today. Oh my goodness. I went to Disneyland and there was this old couple in wheelchairs handing out Sour Patch Kids, and it was the cutest thing ever. They were individually wrapped because of COVID, and I guess maybe it sounds creepy in this context. I said I was going to end this podcast episode. Tune in for more random stories and to help grow resilient, hopefully. Bye, guys.